Hi everyone! What if the parts of yourself you hide, the ones you deem unworthy, are actually holding the key to your ultimate power? Most people chase manifestation but miss a crucial step: integrating their shadow. This video isn't about overcoming your weaknesses, it's about transforming them into unstoppable strengths, unlocking a level of creative and energetic potential you never imagined possible. As we stand only one day away from 2026, the traditional path of New Year resolutions is no longer enough. You need a fundamental re-architecture of your internal frequency. Traditional manifestation often falls short because it ignores the 95% of the mind that operates below the surface. You cannot attract what you truly desire if parts of you are resisting from the unseen, anchored in past traumas or suppressed desires. By integrating your shadow, you stop the internal civil war that leaks your manifesting power. In my journey, I discovered that the gold we seek is often hidden in the very places we are afraid to look. This is the year to move beyond superficial affirmations and embrace the totality of your being. Through the lens of Dr. Joe Dispenza's Neurobiology and the ancient principles of alchemical transmutation, we will explore how to reclaim this fragmented energy. Integration is the secret to becoming a super cause in the quantum field. By the end of this study, you will have a clear blueprint to turn your hidden fears into a magnetic force for your highest timeline in 2026. It is time to stop running from your shadow and start leading with your whole integrated self. If you are ready to stop playing small and reclaim the hidden power within your shadow, please subscribe to the channel. We are dedicated to providing the technical and spiritual depth required for absolute sovereignty in 2026. Join our community of masters and hit the notification bell to ensure you stay aligned with your highest potential throughout the coming year. Mastering the shadow requires profound study and the right technical manuals. I have placed the links for the Kybalion and Dr. Joe Dispenza's core works in the first pinned comment below. These texts are essential for anyone serious about transmuting internal resistance into the fuel for a legendary life in 2026. 1. Beyond the surface, the true nature of shadow work. The most common misconception regarding shadow work is that it is a morbid obsession with one's flaws or a journey into darkness for the sake of suffering. In reality, the shadow is simply the repository of all the energy, talents, and emotional frequencies that you have repressed to fit into a social or familial mold. When you suppress an aspect of yourself, whether it is your ambition, your anger, or even your deep sensitivity, that energy does not disappear, it goes underground. From this unseen position, it creates a persistent counterfrequency that sabotages your conscious efforts to manifest wealth and power in the 3D world. This is why traditional manifestation often feels like a constant struggle against an invisible current. You may spend hours visualizing your success in 2026, but if your shadow carries a deep-seated belief that power is dangerous, it will act as a vibrational brake. The law of correspondence dictates that your external world must reflect your internal state, and that includes the parts of you that you have hidden in the basement of your psyche. Until you reclaim these fragmented aspects, you are operating at only a fraction of your potential, sending a divided signal into the quantum field. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work highlights that when we repress an emotion, we are essentially storing that energy in the body, locking it into the past. Every suppressed trauma or hidden desire becomes a loop in your nervous system, consuming the very energy you need to collapse the wave function of your future. The shadow is the biological record of everything you have decided is unworthy of the light. As we approach 2026, the key to exponential growth is not adding more affirmations, but recovering the vast amounts of energy currently trapped in these survival-based loops. Introducing Shadow Work 2.0, a revolutionary approach that moves beyond mere introspection into the realm of vibrational integration. We are not just looking for flaws, we are looking for the lost gold that was buried under the weight of social conditioning. In the quantum field, there is no judgment of good or bad. There is only frequency and coherence. When you integrate a shadow aspect, you are resolving a conflict within your electromagnetic signature, making your signal much more powerful and unified. You move from a state of internal civil war to a state of quantum singularity. In my journey of applying these principles, I discovered that the shadow is often where our greatest creative power resides. The energy required to keep a part of yourself hidden is the same energy that could be used to build a business or manifest a new reality. When you bring the shadow into the light of consciousness, you are effectively unplugging the leak in your power supply. This is the new path for 2026, a path where we stop trying to be perfect and start striving to be whole. Wholeness is the only frequency that the law of attraction recognizes as a command for total abundance. The technical process of integration involves the anterior cingulate cortex and its ability to observe the self without the filter of the ego. The ego wants to keep the shadow hidden because it views the shadow as a threat to its established identity. However, to reach the unlimited power promised for the new year, you must be willing to let the old ego die so the integrated self can be born. This is the true meaning of the alchemical death and rebirth, the dissolution of the fragmented self into the unified master. By doing this work, you are no longer a victim of your subconscious patterns. You are the conscious architect of your destiny. As we look toward 2026, we must understand that the unseen is what dictates the seen. If you have a shadow of poverty consciousness inherited from your ancestors, no amount of hard work will ever make you feel truly wealthy. The shadow will find a way to spend the money, lose the opportunity, or push away the success to maintain its familiar vibration of lack. Reclaiming this power requires you to look directly at the fear, the shame, and the repression, and to say, "I see you, and you are part of my strength." This act of radical acceptance is the first step in the shadow integration blueprint. In the next sections, we will break down the alchemical process of how to actually transmute these repressed energies into usable power. We will look at how to change your vibrational frequency at the cellular level by shifting from shame to curiosity. The shadow is not your enemy. It is the unprocessed potential that has been waiting for you to become strong enough to lead it. Prepare yourself to recover the fragments of your power and step into 2026 as a complete, magnetic, and unstoppable force. The door to unlimited power is hidden in the very parts of yourself you've been told to ignore. 2. The alchemical process, transmuting repression into power. The technical bridge between the Hermetic law of vibration and modern neurobiology lies in the process of emotional transmutation. In the alchemical tradition, transmutation is the art of changing a base metal into gold. In the laboratory of the human body, this translates to changing the frequency of repressed survival emotions into creative power. When you identify your unseen selves, those parts of your psyche that hold your deepest fears or shameful desires, you are essentially identifying energy that has been frozen in time. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that emotions are the chemical residue of past experiences, and when they are repressed, they act like a biological anchor, holding your body in the past while your mind tries to move into 2026. Identifying these unseen aspects requires a process of neutral observation that bypasses the amygdala's fear response. Most people fail at shadow work because they approach it with judgment, which immediately triggers the sympathetic nervous system and reinforces the repression. To transmute this energy, you must enter a no-judgment zone, a state of high alpha or theta brainwaves, where you can look at your unworthy parts with the curiosity of a scientist. This shift from shame to curiosity is not just a psychological trick, it is a physiological command that changes the way your brain processes information. You are moving the energy from the limbic system to the prefrontal cortex, effectively lighting up the dark corners of your subconscious. One of the most powerful techniques to uncover these hidden beliefs is the study of projection and mirroring. The law of correspondence states, "As within, so without," which means that the people and situations that trigger the most intense negative reactions in you are actually outsourced versions of your own shadow. If you are deeply triggered by someone's arrogance, there is likely a repressed part of you that desires to be seen and recognized, but you have deemed that desire wrong. By acknowledging that the trigger is an external reflection of an internal fragment, you can withdraw the projection and reclaim the energy you were using to judge the other person. This reclaimed energy is immediately available to be reinvested into your manifestations for the new year. The physics of this transmutation involves the law of polarity, which teaches that everything has two poles and that extremes meet. Fear and courage, or scarcity and abundance, are the same thing vibrating at different frequencies. When you accept a shadow aspect, such as your inner scarcity, you are not agreeing to stay poor. You are acknowledging the existence of that pole so you can begin to slide the vibration toward the opposite end. If you ignore the pole of scarcity, you are vibrationally incomplete, and your signal to the quantum field will always be unstable. Acceptance is the 0 point that allows the polarity to shift. Without it, you are simply fighting against a force that you are simultaneously feeding with your resistance. From a cellular perspective, every repressed emotion is associated with a specific neuropeptide that docks into your cell receptors. Over years of repression, your cells become literally addicted to the chemical signature of that shadow, be it unworthiness, anger, or guilt. Integrating the shadow means going through a chemical detox where you force your body to experience a new, higher frequency of self-acceptance. This is where the unlimited power of 2026 begins. By breaking the chemical addiction to your past, you release the energy that was bound to those receptors. You are essentially performing cellular alchemy, refining the base chemicals of survival into the high-octane fuel of creation. We must also understand the role of the heart's electromagnetic field in this process. A repressed shadow creates an incoherent signature, a chaotic wave pattern that cancels out your intentions of wealth and success. When you bring a shadow aspect into your heart space and surround it with a frequency of awe or appreciation for the lesson it brought, you create constructive interference. The chaotic wave of the shadow is smoothed out and integrated into the powerful, coherent rhythm of the heart. This is the alchemical shield that makes you vibrationally untouchable. You are no longer fragmented, so the world can no longer find a crack in your frequency to exploit. In the journey of mastering the self, I have found that the most dangerous shadows are the ones related to our suppressed power. Many people have a golden shadow, a fear of their own brilliance, leadership, and capacity for immense wealth. Because they were taught to be humble or average, they have repressed their lion-like nature, leaving them as vibrational sheep in a world of predators. Transmuting this repression involves looking at your arrogance or your greed and realizing they're just distorted expressions of your authority and expansion. By purifying these desires and aligning them with a higher purpose, you unlock a level of drive that most people can never access. As we conclude this alchemical phase, understand that 2026 demands total integrity. Integrity does not mean being good, it means being integrated, one whole, undivided being. The power you seek is currently locked behind the doors of your own judgment. By using these practical techniques to uncover and accept your hidden selves, you are turning the key. You are preparing your biology to hold more light, more frequency, and more wealth than ever before. The transmutation is underway, the lead is becoming gold, and the path to your highest timeline is finally clear. 3. Unlocking dormant potential, the power of integration. The transition from a fragmented consciousness to an integrated one is the most significant leap a human being can make in the pursuit of unlimited power. When we speak of unlocking dormant potential, we are referring to the biological and energetic liberation that occurs when the shadow is no longer a separate, draining entity. In a state of fragmentation, your energy is divided. A portion is trying to create a new future, while another massive portion is dedicated to policing and suppressing the parts of you that you fear. Integration collapses this duality, creating a unified electromagnetic signature that Dr. Joe Dispenza describes as a state of total coherence. This coherence is the magnetic force that makes an individual unstoppable in their career, relationships, and health as they enter 2026. Think of it as a laser versus a light bulb. A light bulb is incoherent energy, scattering in all directions and barely illuminating a room. A laser is coherent energy, with all photons vibrating in phase, allowing it to cut through steel. Your integrated self is a vibrational laser capable of cutting through the resistance of the 3D world to manifest your highest timeline. By merging your shadow with your conscious self, you are no longer scattering your power. You are focusing it into a singular causal point. In my professional observations and practice, I have seen individuals who were doing everything right, yet remained stuck in financial mediocrity for years. These people practiced affirmations, worked hard, and followed every strategy, but they had a shadow of inadequacy that acted as a silent counter-intention. One case study involves a high-level executive who couldn't break a specific income ceiling despite moving through 3 different companies. The shadow was a deep-seated fear of being exposed as a fraud, a remnant of childhood conditioning where excellence was met with skepticism. Once he integrated that imposter shadow, accepting his fear and recognizing it as a guardian of his standards, his frequency shifted from survival to sovereignty, and his income tripled within 12 months. This is the conscious co-creation paradigm in its highest form. You are no longer begging the universe for wealth, you are commandingly attracting it because there is no internal part of you saying no. The law of resonance dictates that you can only experience a reality that matches your total vibration, not just the vibration of your 10-minute morning meditation. The shadow work we are discussing for 2026 ensures that your baseline frequency is one of total worthiness and power. You become a superconductor for abundance because you have removed the resistance of self-judgment and repression from your internal circuitry. The biology of this potential involves the default mode network of the brain and its relationship to the self-narrative. A fragmented self has a DMN that is constantly running scripts of "what is wrong with me?" or "how do I hide my mistakes?" Integration rewrites the DMN by creating new synaptic connections that bridge the gap between the conscious and the subconscious. You are effectively updating your operating system for the new year, replacing bubby, survival-based code with the streamlined architecture of a master. This is where the dormant potential lies, in the billions of neural connections that were previously dedicated to defense and are now available for creation. We must also consider the epigenetic impact of shadow integration on your long-term success. When you live in a state of repression, you are signaling your genes through the chemicals of stress, cortisol, and adrenaline. This chronic stress shuts down the genes associated with long-term growth and repair, keeping you in a maintenance mode that prevents massive expansion. Integration shifts your internal chemistry to one of expansion and flow, sending a different signal to your cells. You are literally turning on the genetic potential for higher intelligence, better intuition, and the physical stamina required to manage a global empire or a thriving career. The power of an integrated self extends beyond the personal into what we call the collective harmonic. As you move into 2026, the world is becoming more vibrationally sensitive. People can feel when a leader or a partner is fragmented or untrustworthy. An integrated individual radiates an aura of vibrational integrity that others find irresistibly magnetic and trustworthy. You don't need to sell yourself or convince anyone of your value. Your frequency does the work for you. This is the secret behind the world's most successful visionaries. They have embraced their intensity, their drive, and even their darkness to create a presence that commands the room. I've discovered that the integration of the shadow also unlocks intuitive intelligence that was previously blocked by fear. Your shadow often holds the primal instincts that are necessary for survival and high-level strategy. When you suppress your aggression, for example, you also suppress your assertiveness and your ability to make sharp, decisive financial moves. By integrating that aggression, you transmute it into the warrior archetype that knows when to strike a deal and when to walk away. You are reclaiming the animal wisdom that the ego tried to civilize out of existence, making you a more effective and grounded creator. Furthermore, this work is essential for navigating the quantum tides of the coming year. 2026 will bring rapid shifts in technology, economy, and social structures. Those who are fragmented will be easily tossed by these waves of change. But the integrated individual has a center of gravity so strong that they can remain stable in any storm. You become the eye of the hurricane, utilizing the energy of the world's chaos to fuel your own ascent. You are not fighting the shadow of the world because you have already mastered the shadow within yourself. To truly unlock this potential, you must view your shadow as a strategic partner rather than a shameful secret. Ask yourself, what is this part of me trying to protect? Or what power is hidden behind this fear? Often, a fear of failure is actually a high standard that hasn't found its proper expression yet. An obsession with control is often a protective instinct that can be transmuted into excellence in organization. By redefining these traits, you are promoting your shadow aspects to work for you rather than against you. This is the paradigm shift of the integrated master. You are no longer a victim of your past experiences. You are the alchemist who has used those experiences to forge a stronger, more resilient soul. The wealth you desire in 2026 is not out there waiting to be found. It is in here, waiting to be unleashed by your own hand. As you unite your light and your dark, you create a third force, a sovereign power that is greater than the sum of its parts. This force is the engine that will drive you to the top of your highest timeline. In my journey, I found that the moment of true integration feels like a deep sigh in the soul. It is the end of the exhausting game of hide and seek with your own consciousness. You are finally home and you are finally whole. From this place of wholeness, the law of attraction works with effortless precision because there is no internal friction to slow it down. You are a clear, open channel for the infinite creative power of the universe. As we move into the final block, we will provide the practical tools and the blueprint to make this integration a daily reality. We will move from theory to action, ensuring that by the time the clock strikes midnight for 2026, you are already operating from your new integrated baseline. The potential is no longer dormant. It is waking up and it is ready to move mountains. Prepare to engage with the tools that will bridge the gap between who you are and who you are destined to become. 4. Practical tools for your integration journey, the 2026 blueprint. Mastering the shadow is not a one-time event or a mystical ritual. It is a rigorous daily practice of vigilant awareness and biological rewiring. To transition into 2026 with unlimited power, you must move beyond the concept of integration and enter the application of it through a structured protocol. The goal is to move the shadow from the unconscious backstage of your mind to the conscious front stage, where its energy can be directed toward your highest goals. This requires a combination of neurosomatic regulation, deep inquiry, and what I call rhythmic integration practices that align with the universal laws we have studied. The first practical tool in your integration journey is the implementation of daily micro-practices of radical observation. Throughout your day, your shadow will leak through your reactions, your judgments of others, and your sudden shifts in mood. Instead of suppressing these leaks or feeling guilty about them, you must use them as quantum data points to map your internal landscape. When you feel a trigger, that sudden spike of adrenaline or cortisol in response to an external event, your primary task is to stay with the sensation without assigning it a story. This is a technical process of neurointerruption where you prevent the brain from completing its habitual cause-effect loop of repression and reaction. By observing the trigger in your body, for example, a tightness in the chest or a knot in the stomach, you are engaging the insular cortex, the part of the brain responsible for interoception and self-awareness. As you focus on the physical sensation with a frequency of neutral curiosity, you are effectively depolarizing the shadow aspect. You are telling your nervous system that this energy is no longer a threat that needs to be hidden. It is simply energy that needs to be processed. In my practice, I have found that staying with a trigger for just 90 seconds, the time it takes for a chemical surge to pass through the body, can dissolve patterns that have been running for decades. This is how you begin to reclaim the lost energy we discussed in the previous blocks. The second pillar of the 2026 blueprint is the use of journaling prompts for deep neural diving. Writing is a physical act of externalizing the internal, allowing you to see your subconscious patterns with a level of objectivity that thinking alone cannot provide. To uncover the hidden causal patterns of your financial life, you must ask questions that bypass the ego's defenses. For example, instead of asking, "How do I get more money?" you should ask, "What part of me feels safe in mediocrity?" Or, "What is the secret benefit I receive from being a victim?" These questions are designed to reveal the shadow motives that have been sabotaging your manifestation efforts. Another powerful prompt for this deep dive is, if I were to become 10 times more successful tomorrow, who in my life would I be afraid of disappointing or outshining? This question often reveals a shadow of loyalty to poverty, where you subconsciously stay broke to remain one of the tribe or to avoid the judgment of others. By bringing these motives into the light of the page, you can consciously choose to withdraw your consent from these old scripts. You are not just writing, you are performing linguistic alchemy, transmuting the leaden weight of hidden fears into the golden clarity of a new, sovereign identity for the new year. The third tool is the Shadow Integration Blueprint Step-by-Step Guide. Step 1 is identification. Recognize the trigger or the repeating effect in your life that you want to change. Step 2 is localization. Find where that effect lives in your body as a vibrational frequency or a physical sensation. Step 3 is inquiry. Ask that part of yourself what it is trying to protect or what it is afraid of. Listen for the raw truth without the filter of logic. Step 4 is integration. Consciously breathe into that sensation and invite that part to merge with your current adult self, using the frequency of gratitude for its survival service. Step 5 is repolarization. Give that reclaimed energy a new mission that aligns with your 2026 goals, such as focus, drive, or strategic assertiveness. In my experience, the repolarization phase is where most people fail because they leave the reclaimed energy floating without a clear direction. Energy follows thought. If you don't give your newly integrated shadow a specific job, it will eventually slide back into its old destructive habits. Think of your shadow aspects as highly talented specialists who have been mismanaged for years. By giving them a role in your executive board of consciousness, you are turning your inner demons into your most loyal allies. This is the unlimited power we are aiming for, a unified internal team working toward a singular vision of wealth and impact. To maintain this blueprint, you must also master the physics of intentional solitude. Integration is a high-frequency work that is difficult to perform in the middle of social noise or digital distraction. As you approach 2026, I recommend dedicated integration blocks throughout your week, times where you are completely offline, focused solely on your internal architecture. In these blocks, you use meditation to reach the theta brainwave state, where the veil between the conscious and subconscious is thinnest. It is in this quantum window that you can perform the most profound rewiring of your nervous system, literally editing the code of your shadow. What I have discovered is that the more you integrate, the more your sleep cycles will change. Many people find that they need less sleep or that their dreams become more vivid and instructional during this process. This is because your brain is no longer wasting immense amounts of energy on repression during the day, and your subconscious is using your dream state to process the remaining causal debris. Pay close attention to your dreams as 2026 approaches. Your shadow will often communicate through symbols and metaphors, showing you the final links that need to be unhooked before your breakthrough. This is biological feedback that your integration is reaching the cellular level. The final element of the blueprint is the integration of the golden shadow. We must address the fear of your own light, the shadow that says, "I am not ready for this much power," or "I don't know if I can handle this much responsibility." This upper limit problem is the final barrier to the unlimited power of the new year. To integrate your golden shadow, you must practice visualizing the magnitude of your success and observing where your body recoils in fear. When you feel that recoil, treat it exactly like any other shadow aspect. Breathe into it, acknowledge it, and then command it to expand to match the vision. You are teaching your nervous system that it is safe to be large, safe to be seen, and safe to be wealthy. In my journey, I found that the ultimate sign of a successful integration is emotional fluidity. You are no longer stuck in a mood for days or weeks. You move through your emotions like a river, allowing the shadow tides to rise and fall without losing your center. You can feel anger without being angry. You can feel fear without being afraid. This mastery of the middle path is the hallmark of the sovereign individual. You have become the atmosphere in which all your weather occurs, and as the atmosphere, you are the one who determines the climate of your life. As we conclude this special video for 2026, understand that you are standing at a threshold. The door to unlimited power is not guarded by a monster, it is guarded by the parts of yourself you have refused to love. By using these tools, the radical observation, the deep inquiry, and the integration blueprint, you are finally opening that door. The shadow is no longer a ghost haunting your past. It is the wind beneath the wings of your future. The new year is not just a change of date, it is the manifestation of a new, whole, and integrated you. Take these tools, do the work in the silence of your own heart, and watch as the world reshapes itself to match your new unified frequency. The power is yours. It has always been yours, and now it is finally complete. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to your sovereign era. If you are ready to apply the Shadow Integration Blueprint and claim your power in 2026, please subscribe to the channel. We are building a legacy of integrated masters who are rewriting the rules of wealth and consciousness. Hit the notification bell to stay connected with our high-frequency community throughout this transformative year. The depth of shadow work and neurobiological integration is a lifelong study. I have placed the links for The Kabbalion and Dr. Joe Dispenza's masterworks in the first pinned comment below. Make these your code books for the new year. Investing in this knowledge is the primary cause that will lead to your most powerful effects in 2026. As you prepare for the new year, I want you to ask yourself, what is the one part of me I have been most afraid to show the world? Write that part down and instead of judging it, thank it for its protection. Share your experience with this first step of integration in the comments. Let's start 2026 with radical honesty and unified power. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I will see you on the other side.